I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Friday, April the 5th, 2013. The Jerusalem Post reports, citing a report from Palestinian news agency Ma'an, that Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas has demanded a map showing a future Palestinian state from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu before the resumption of any peace talks. Ma'an quoted Abbas's political advisor Nimer Hamad as saying that the PA president wants to know through a map to be presented by Benjamin Netanyahu to U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry what the prime minister's view of a two-state solution would be, especially the borders. Hamad was further quoted as saying that any return to negotiations would require Netanyahu to agree on 1967 borders. Secretary of State Kerry is scheduled to return to Israel on Monday as part of efforts to restart peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians. Israeli ambassador to the United Nations Ron Prosor called on the UN Security Council yesterday to condemn the recent rocket fire from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel. Prosor wrote in a letter to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, while children were on their way back to school from the Passover vacation, 2 rockets landed near Sderot. Instead of rushing to classrooms, he said these children and their families were forced to rush to bomb shelters, adding the time has come for the Security Council to begin to worry for the safety of Israeli citizens as well. Several rockets were fired into southern Israel from Gaza throughout the week. No injuries were caused. Hamas has called on the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees to resume their operations in Gaza, accusing them of overreacting. As you may have seen on IBA News, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, or UNRWA, suspended its food distribution operations yesterday after their Gaza headquarters were stormed by Palestinian demonstrators who were protesting a cut to a monthly cash stipend for poor families in Gaza. Hamas spokesperson Sami Abu Zuhari was quoted by Israel Radio Today as saying that the closure was overblown and unjust. The agency has said it will not resume work in Gaza, including food distribution to 800,000 Palestinians, nearly half the population, unless it receives assurances from Hamas over the safety of its staff. An Israeli delegation will be presenting the latest innovations in Israeli-made medical technology at the annual TEDMed conference in Washington, D.C. later this month, making it the first country other than the U.S. officially represented there. Modeled after the TED Talks on innovation held in the Silicon Valley in California, TEDMed features a mix of presentations about technology, medical and social issues, and social networking events. Israel will also be hosting its own TEDMed, the first time the show's organizers are authorizing a satellite event in a foreign country. The Israeli event will take place on April the 18th, which is the last day of the Washington conference, which begins on the 16th, and will feature live broadcasts of talks and events from D.C., and several of the talks that will be given by Israeli speakers in Israel will be broadcast to TEDMed attendees in Washington. And staying with science and technology, the Jerusalem Post reported that internationally renowned British theoretical physicist and popular science author Stephen Hawking is scheduled to visit Israel this summer. Hawking will be making the trip to take part in the 5th annual Israeli presidential conference titled Facing Tomorrow. The conference, which was inaugurated in 2008 by Israeli President Shimon Peres, gathers the world's top leaders and intellectuals in Israel for discussions on everything from science and technology to religion and politics. The trip will be Hawking's second to Israel. He toured the country back in 2006 at the invitation of the British Embassy, where he met with local scientists and academics. Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, begins Sunday evening, and Shalom TV will have special programming all day Sunday and Monday, including interviews with Elie Wiesel at 6 o'clock, a L'chaim classic with the late Simon Wiesenthal at 6:30, a Yom HaShoah commemoration which will be broadcast Sunday evening at 5, and there will be a number of moving and inspiring films. On Saturday evening at 7:30, Shalom TV premieres a new original series entitled New Jewish Cinema. And Judy Gelman-Myers will be talking there to director Janet Tobias about her film that opens this weekend called No Place on Earth, the story of 38 people who survived the Holocaust in the Ukraine by living in a cave for over 500 days. That program will be followed by a special episode of A Witness at 8 o'clock, featuring the Sturmers brothers, survivors of that cave experience. For a detailed Shalom TV viewing schedule, visit the Shalom TV website at www.shalomtv.com and click on Channel Schedule at the top of the homepage. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Friday, April the 5th, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom.